Hello, in this video we're going to share some tips on how to build this bed. But before we get started, here's a few things to keep in mind. Make sure you have a Phillips head screwdriver and optionally a flathead screwdriver. A second person can be helpful, and just make sure everything's facing the right way as you're putting it together, and you'll do great. So let's get into it. Just a quick disclaimer, these tips don't cover every step, so make sure you follow the instructions and complete all the steps in order. In steps 2 through 6, we'll be assembling the headboard portion of the bed. And for this we need pieces 1, 2, 3, 4, 11, and then we need bolts C, D, E, and these nuts that are H. So let's get started with step 2. And for this we'll be putting on this rail here. And for this you just got to line up the dowels with the holes on the piece here. Line them up like that, and then we can go ahead and put in our bolts here. And for this we'll put the longer bolt in this bottom hole here. And the shorter bolt, which is C, we'll put it in the top hole. Then we can go ahead and tighten those with our hex key. All right, and then once we got that in, we can move on to step 3, which is just putting the dowels on these pieces. We've already done that, so we'll move on to step 4, when we'll put these into this piece. So the thing you want to watch out for on this piece here is that these holes here need to be closer to the bottom edge. And it'll be face down like this. We can go ahead and line up the dowels. Then we'll take our bolt and our nut here, and this just needs to line up the holes facing the bolt so that the bolt can go into it. And on this, you can either use your fingernail or a flathead screwdriver to line up the hole, and we can finish it the rest of the way with our hex key. And then to help support this while we finish up, we can just take one of our foam blocks from the box and just rest that piece on it, and then we can tighten this the rest of the way. That'll keep it from bending too much. And then on our next piece, we just want to make sure that these holes on this side are facing up, and then we can line up the dowels. And then do the same thing with the nut and bolt on this side. And then we'll grab another piece of foam from the box and just rest it under this edge. That. And then we can finish tightening this the rest of the way. All right, now we can move on to step 5, which is the other side. And we'll just attach this to these pieces here. Just line them both up. Perfect, and then we can go ahead and do the same thing with the nut and bolt. And then we'll do the same thing on this one. All right, and then once those are tight, we can just line up the dowels on this piece here, like that. And then we'll do the small bolt in this top hole, and the longer bolt in this bottom hole. And then we'll tighten these the rest of the way. All right, once those are all tight, we're good to move on. On step 7 and 8, we'll be attaching these brackets to these pieces here. And for this, you just want to make sure that the opening is facing up on this piece like that, and then this way on this piece like that. And then we'll go ahead and take our bolts and our washers and put them on to these pieces like this. And then we'll go ahead and tighten those the rest of the way with our hex key. All right, now that those are all tight, we're good to move on. On steps 10 and 11, we'll be putting the frame together, and for this we just need these 4 pieces. We've already gone ahead and put on that side, and then you'll also just want a couple blocks or some pieces of foam from the box to help support these pieces as you go. But we'll go ahead and do this other side, and we'll take this piece and just line it up. And then like on previous steps, we have our bolt and our little nut, and then we'll just want those holes to line up as well and put it in from this back side. And then on the second hole, and then we'll tighten those all the way with our hex key. And then now we can move on to the footboard. And then down here at the footboard, we're just going to line up these hooks with these slits in these pieces here. And just push the hooks into there. And then they should latch down. And then we'll latch the other side. All right, once those hooks are in place, you're good to move on and finish the rest of the steps. We hope this video was helpful for you in assembling your new bed. For more guides, tips, and tricks, go to walkeredison.com.